Hello and welcome to the Esports Biz Show. I'm your host, Justin Jacobson. Just as a disclaimer, nothing here is intended as legal advice, as all the information is for educational purposes only. This week's guest is Gina. She's a former radio DJ and an award-winning voiceover actress and vocal coach. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So to start, introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself and your past gaming experience. What was the first game you played?
Okay, well, I'm Gina, and as Justin said, I'm a professional voiceover actress, and I voiced commercials, video games, YouTube videos, all kinds of things. I love what I do. I come from a background of radio and podcasting and entertainment reporting. And I've been playing video games literally my whole life. Like starting with the NES system, or even before that, Coleco, like for all the Gen Xers out there. But yeah, I'm definitely NES, Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Tetris and Dr. Mario. I mean, I've always loved video games. So one of the best parts of voiceover is getting to work in video games. It's amazing.
Dr. Mario, that's a real callback. That was a great one.
I like the theme song's like still in my head. I could like
forgot
still hear
about
it.
that one. So how'd you first get involved in voiceover, and why?
I did radio for about 10 years in Connecticut and New York, straight out of high school. I grew up doing theater, and I never really loved being in front of an audience. So radio was perfect because nobody looks at me, but I can still do performing. So I did that. And when I left radio, I went on to entertainment reporting. I was the editor-in-chief of 2 reality TV websites, interviewed people from every show you could think of, and somewhere in there I kind of started to miss radio, but I didn't really want to go back to it. It had gotten more corporate. It was really hard to stay at a station for a long period of time. So someone said, you could do voiceover from home, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. So I got a terrible USB microphone. I joined Fiverr and just started uploading gigs and saying I could voice things for people, and started getting hired pretty quickly. So for like 6 years I was on Fiverr and Upwork, and I made, a good amount of money. And when the pandemic hit, my sister took a voiceover class online, and she was like, you should really try to do this like professionally. So I upgraded my equipment. I started taking workshops, started joining better casting sites, got an agent, booked my first national commercial by the end of the year, and the rest is history.
So what's the difference between taking it, professionally and kind of, what you're doing it for leisurely?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. I mean, I don't love the word professional. I'm always like, I don't know. I don't want to put people, down, and there's nothing wrong with doing it as a hobby, a side hustle or anything like that. But I think, professionally I wanted to work at a very high level. So I was, very focused on doing a lot of coaching with agents and casting directors and very successful people in the industry, getting the best equipment I could, auditioning for higher level jobs that were paying more, like some of these other sites like Fiverr, Upwork have a reputation for, cheap
$5.
jobs.
That's why it's called Fiverr.
Yeah, that's why it was called Fiverr. I mean, now when it first started, you really had to charge $5. Now you can set your prices, and there are people who make, really great money on there. But for me, I just wanted to work at the highest level. So I was having the agents and the managers and the big brands and the, things like that. And so it's been quite a journey, and I coach people as well. And that's been super fun too, helping people either get into the industry or sort of take themselves from the middle of their career to the top of their career.
So yeah, let's talk a little about the coaching stuff you're doing. So how does it kind of work if you're working with a client? Is it, is it a weekly thing, or is it just, how does that all work?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I coach a lot of kids and teens, and I really enjoy that. And they're phenomenal. I mean, they've voiced with, Walmart, Target, Nintendo, Disney, Nickelodeon, like so many great brands. And that's really how I started as a kids and a teen coach. But I guess adults started hearing what I was doing, and they wanted me to coach them too. And I was like, okay. So I do some script coaching, but really what I focus on is the business of voiceover. So the marketing aspect, SEO, networking, getting an agent, following up with people, when's the right time to get a demo. That's really where I like to be. I can do the script coaching and I like it, but I'm way more into the business side, because I feel like as creatives, that's often the side of the business that we drop, as I'm sure you know, as a lawyer. So, I mean, it was really important to me to help them. And my degrees in marketing, my background's in SEO, and it's given me quite an advantage in the industry. And I've been able to help a lot of people do the same. The kids, on the other hand, a lot of script coaching, a lot of prepping for big auditions, prepping them for sessions. And, they're phenomenal. They're so talented.
It's amazing. Well, definitely great that you're helping the youth. Next generation was awesome.
Yeah.
How'd you first get involved in voiceover work for video games? I know you've worked with Nintendo and some other ones, so tell us about some of this.
Yeah, so I did the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom for the new Legend of Zelda game this year. It was on TV, it was on Twitch, it was in movie theaters before the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is crazy that my voice was in movie theaters. When my agent or when my manager called me to tell me I booked it, I screamed "shut up" in his face because I was just so blown away, and I was like, "I'm sorry, it's not very
Mm.
professional," but I was so excited. But the first game I did was in 2020. Is a VR game called Eye of the Temple. It was made by the Solo dev, like just an unbelievable. If you're a VR gamer, like I'm not just saying this, like the game is truly so amazing. It's very immersive. The movement in the game is incredible, and so I auditioned for it, and I was like down to me and a couple others, and I messaged him and I said, just want to let you know, like I looked up the game and it is just so impressive, and I really am excited to play it. And he said, it was between you and somebody else, but like your passion for gaming pushed you over the edge.
Boom.
And that was it. I mean, from like I voiced the character in The Walking Dead, which I won the 2023 Best Female Gaming Performance of the Year from the One Voice Awards, which is crazy. I've been in Genshin Impact. There's a VR game called Survival Nation where I play the head of the survival camp, and I have two really big games coming out next year that I'm like so excited about. And one of the hardest parts of voiceover is just not being able to tell anyone. I'm like, I swear, like something good is coming. NDAs and stuff, like you can't talk about it. But yeah, I mean, voicing games has been awesome. I voiced almost 20 games to date now. And it's not always going to be the thing that pays the most in voiceover, but it's definitely my favorite thing, the thing that I get so freaking pumped about it. I actually, right after this, have a gaming session right after we're done here.
So how does it work? Is it for characters, for the trailers? Like, how are you involved in it?
So for Nintendo, I did the trailer. That was awesome. For everything else, I do characters in games. It's really fun. I mean, sometimes I record it on my own and just send in the file. Sometimes, or a lot of times we do directed sessions where, the director or the writers or the dev team is on the line, and I'll do the line a couple of times and they'll give me feedback. And that's always really nice. I like, doing things in a collaborative way. And that's how the session later will run. There's probably going to be 5 or 6 people on the line while I record my lines. But yeah, that's typically how it goes. And oftentimes I don't know, like with The Walking Dead, I only recorded my lines. So I literally had no idea like what anyone else sounded like, even what the story was. I only knew my part of it. So when I watched it all, I was like, oh, like
That
that's so
makes sense.
interesting.
That's
Yeah,
why I
like
said that.
yeah, I really didn't know. So that's always very cool. But that's usually how, video game sessions work. And I find auditions through a lot of different ways. I audition through casting sites, through my agents and my manager. I do a lot of networking with studios and with game devs, through LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever, workshops, just trying to meet people. So I'm always trying to get as many opportunities or as many great opportunities as I can.
Amazing. Well, it definitely sounds like some great stuff. So congrats again on winning. So it was like to
Thanks.
win that award and then to be recognized for your voiceover work in a video game, not just voiceover work.
Well, I cried because I honestly was not. I was so excited to be nominated. I was nominated for that. I was nominated for Best Radio Ad, and I was nominated for Female Voiceover Artist of the Year, which is like, I mean, incredible. So one of the women in my category for Best Female Gaming Performance is this super talented actress, Allison Packard, who plays Rose in Call of Duty. And I was like, you're going to win. And she was like, no, you're going to win. I was like, no, you're going to win. And we were going back and forth. And she ended up winning, some amazing awards. But I mean, when I play Call of Duty, like I would play as her. I would play as Rose because it's Allison. So I was genuinely shocked to win. I was not at the awards. It was in Texas, but my friends were there and they texted me like screaming, you won, and there were videos and so many congratulations came in, and I was like, wow, this is so incredible. I just, as a little kid playing, like my Game Boy, like late at night when my parents thought I was going to sleep, like I could not have imagined what would be happening now. And I play all kinds of video games now. I always say, like, when I'm not in the booth, I'm playing games, very competitive games, mostly, but I just love the industry. And so to be any part of it is awesome.
Amazing. So tell us a little about some of the other voiceover stuff you work on. What are some recent projects and kind of what's your favorite part about the job?
Well, I really love doing commercials. It's really fun. This year I did a really fun campaign with Snapple, with Cinnabon, with Vistaprint, with Anheuser-Busch. There were so many that I did, and I really love them. I was the voice of Xfinity Rewards for about a year and a half. Then I was the voice of Vistaprint for about a year. So that's fun. I love that every day is different. Like you never really know what's going to happen. Love working with a lot of, exciting brands and of course the gaming companies. And I think I just love being an entrepreneur. I love being in charge of my own schedule. I love deciding what I'm going to do every day. My dad actually just said to me, we had coffee the other day, and he said, I was stressed about money. And he was like, would you ever go back to a regular paycheck? I was like, no, because that means I'd have to work for somebody else. And I just don't think I'm cut out to do it. And my dad's like, yeah, you're just like me. We're meant to be in charge of our own careers and our own destinies. So that's definitely been one of the best parts. And I know it's like cheesy, but the people have been amazing. I mean, you would think, maybe it'd be very competitive, very cutthroat, but it's not. Like, there's a really great sense of community, and I've met some amazing people, and they're very gracious and helpful and kind, and so that's been really nice too, making friends from all over the country and the world, honestly.
Well, that's amazing. I know sometimes entertainers in town can be a little cutthroat. You're
Have
all
you
vying for
noticed?
the same gigs.
No, there's some of them. There's some of them. But honestly, like I feel like maybe it was a good thing getting into voiceover in sort of my older age a bit. Like I just feel like I'm better able to set boundaries. And the minute I sniff like somebody's not sincere or trying to talk to me for the right reasons, I just keep my distance or kind of set that boundary, which is nice. But yeah, for sure there's some cutthroat people. But overall it's been really nice, and I've met some of my best friends in the industry, and honestly, like my closest friend and I are we are super competitive on paper. We go up for all the same jobs, we have a lot of the same agents, the same manager, and we even hired the same SEO company. And the guy was like, why would you do that? Like, isn't she your competition? And I was like, yeah, but like we go up against each other all the time, and if I'm not going to get it, like I want her to, and vice versa. So we might as well have the same SEO company helping our websites rank too. And that's just kind of the attitude that we have, and I think it's really nice, like two women lifting each other up, and just, hey, if you get it, great, and if I get it, great. There's no reason to be catty, competitive, cutthroat, nothing.
Right, as long as it's one of you, can't be anyone else. I'm with
No,
it.
yeah, then we have a problem. But I'm always like, if it's not me, we just were up for something very recently. It was like literally a dream job of mine that I really wanted. She's super right for it. But we were both saying to each other, like, all right, if I don't get it, like, I hope you get it. Neither one of us got it. And I was very sad. I was very sad. But usually I let it roll off my back.
Awesome. So, what's say the hardest part of the job? Obviously, sounds like there's a lot of fun parts.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people talk to me, they can immediately tell my passion for voiceover. It's fun. I love it. It's the best choice I've ever made was, choosing this as my career. But that being said, it's very, very competitive. And I think because of the pandemic, the world sort of opened up. I mean, while the world closed down, the online world opened up. And so there were so many more opportunities for remote voice actors. So there was just an influx of people. So it's very competitive. It's very unpredictable. You really never know. I mean, again, I like that you never know what every day is going to bring, but you also never know what every day is going to bring. You don't know when you're going to get paid, and so that part of it can be very stressful, trying to stay even relevant and at the top of people's minds. So it's a constant hustle and a constant grind, but there's a lot of me. I think it's like the anxious Italian Dunkin' Donuts drinking New England girl in me, but like I kind of thrive in the chaos a bit. But it is a very hard industry, and a positive mindset is super important because it's very easy to get discouraged, I think.
Definitely. I think that's one of the things about, working on your own, being an entrepreneur, running a business. It's not every single day where you go and you do your job and it's like the pay will be there bi-monthly, and like on every other Friday you get money, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this morning invoice comes in and now you can disperse it and pay a bunch of bills, and
Yeah.
hopefully invoices come in daily, right? That's the goal.
Exactly. I always tell my mom, like, the minute, I say, oh, I'm getting paid, this Friday on a job. I know they emailed me and told me the remittance is coming. And my mom was like, oh, that's great. I said, it'll be gone in 2.3 seconds. The minute it comes in, it's back out the door to all the bills. And, voiceovers also, it can be very expensive. You want to have great equipment and great demos and, workshops. A lot of people travel, and go to conferences and things like that. So, you need a booth. Like, it can really add up quickly. So that part of it was hard too. But I tried to invest in myself wisely from the beginning, so I never found myself in too much of a financial hole. Not too much.
Well, good. That's the way to do it. You got to be smart with it. So,
Yeah.
as we mentioned, you were a radio DJ and
Yeah.
involved in other aspects of the entertainment world. So,
Mhm.
what similarities do you see between the entertainment business and working in the video game space?
I mean, I think just having the background in playing gaming has been really helpful for me. So I've been able to take that knowledge and apply it to my video game auditions. Like it sounds silly, but just like knowing what an ultimate ability is in a game, or like just general call outs like frag grenade or whatever, like that stuff, like or like when you're in the like lobby or you're on character selection, like all of those things have been very helpful. Definitely in radio and podcasting, I've had to think quick, edit quickly, and just be creative and bring my personality to the table. So that's been very helpful in voiceover as well. So there is a lot of crossover, and you wouldn't think that like necessarily playing games growing up could have a benefit in your adult life, but it does. I mean, it does from a career perspective, and it does from like it's like cheesy, but like from a mental health perspective too. Like that's my way of relaxing and calming down, and in a way it helps bring me down, and then I can come back into the booth and be creative again. Like video games definitely has a lot of positive effects on my life, and maybe I'm the only 40 something year old mother running around playing Fortnite, but I don't care. It's really fun. Fortnite, Call of Duty, League, Valorant, Rust, Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, all of it. It's been great.
Amazing. Well, those are all great ones, and there definitely should be more 40-something-year-old moms running around
There's
playing
not.
video games. I'm all for it.
I always wonder, like, I joke around and I say, like, when I play Fortnite and, get my, like, victory royale or whatever against probably some, 12-year-old kid somewhere. Like, imagine if you could just see on the other end of the screen that it's just some mom, like,
Right? It's
sending him
like,
back to the lobby to get on the battle bus again.
oof. So, what kind of differences have you noticed between this entertainment space and some of the other ones?
I mean, I think that one of the biggest things is like in radio, a lot of times it's like we're a personality, just like a lot of streamers are. It's like that's not who necessarily. I mean, there's definitely aspects, but I think it's only like Dr. Disrespect, who's like, it's just a straight up character. Even Tyler One or somebody like that. It's like, yeah, maybe there's some similarities, but they are different when they're off camera. Whereas maybe Tim the Tatman is like a little bit closer to who he is in real life. But definitely on the radio, it's a different personality. Like I literally had a different name, and maybe it was like a little, I don't know, edgier, especially when I was in rock radio. And in voiceover, like so much of it, it's funny because it's like so many characters that I play, but I feel like a lot of it is way more like grounded in like who I am, like bringing in my real experiences in life. And I've actually learned a lot about myself and become like a more vulnerable person through doing voiceover, I think. So that's been like the biggest thing was like definitely bringing more of myself to the table instead of always being a character and I don't not being fake. That's not the right word. But then also like just I don't know, like yeah, just trusting my instincts and also feeling like I'm often just talking to one person. Like when I'm doing commercials, it's like I should only think that I'm speaking to one person, like just me and you, and that's my read. Whereas in radio, it's like I'm talking to the whole state and it's a party and we're doing a big countdown or we're out at a car dealership. So it's way more energetic. But I mean, those similarities and those differences have, I think, in all ways helped me in the voiceover industry.
Right? It gives you the ability to kind of adapt to different situations, have different
Yeah.
audiences, know how to engage with them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing about voiceover compared to say people who work in theater or on camera is, they can only get to a certain amount of auditions a day or a week because they need to self-tape and it's a lot of preparation. But in voiceover, there's so many opportunities. So some days I'll do, 20, 30, 40 custom auditions a day, not just submitting my reel, but really like recording a script and sending it off. So some days like my like it's like having multiple personalities. It's like from one script, like this is a sad script. Oh, this is a happy script. Well, this is like, fighting zombies. And then this script is a very serious political spot. So, like you have to like change your own personality on the fly. And I joke like, or when I'm coaching people, I always call it's like the multiverse of Gina or the multiverse of Justin. It's like these are all the colors of my personality. And in this universe, I'm fighting zombies and it's really me. And in this universe, I'm like, a political strategist. And in this universe, I'm a doctor fighting cancer. But I always think of it as like it's me. But that part of it is always very interesting, like swapping emotions every 2 seconds. It's kind of tiring sometimes.
Right? Having to get really excited and
Yeah.
then get really stern when you're talking about dental hygiene.
Yeah, like we need to talk about your Medicaid benefits. And then it's, I mean, right after this is a very, high energy video game. So I'm, energetic now because we're talking about one of my favorite topics. But after this, it's, a video game session that's, got a lot of fighting. And so I'll be like, yelling, and hopefully my neighbors don't call the police because they're going to hear me shouting. And then after that, it's like I need to do auditions and they're probably a little bit more subdued. So it's like, it is very like emotionally tiring. I think people just think like, oh, you probably just walk up to the mic and talk. But it's like, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot that I think people don't realize.
Right? The whole preparation, learning the script, how you're going to approach things, your delivery.
Yeah.
Like there's so much more, like you said, than just turning on the mic and just
No.
reading what it says.
Now that's people on TikTok want you to be like, do you have a nice voice? Do you want to like, voice books from your bed? It's like, yeah, I wish that was that easy. But also like, you just need to be great technically. You need to be great at audio editing. You need to be comfortable, navigating directed sessions on Zoom or on these other programs that we use. There's a lot of, you need to know a lot about business. Like there's a lot of things. I wish it was just as easy as someone saying, hey, you have a great voice. But I'm like, this isn't the 1920s where it's like vaudeville and they're like, you got a great voice, kid. I'm going to sign you and you're going to be a star. Like there's a million factors that go into being successful in voiceover, and like how good your voice sounds is like almost one of the least important things, actually.
Right. So I guess that's kind of leads into the next question. What advice do you have for anyone that's really trying to work voiceover professionally and kind of go down the route that you are and get involved like this?
I mean, I definitely think like some level of coaching is really important. I mean, some people would tell you like coach for a really long time. I think it depends on the person, but to go into it blindly is just not really the play, because there's a lot of things to know, even just about negotiating and, negotiating pay and what should you be paid and, what should the terms be, just simple things like, or complicated things like that. Never mind like, what are people looking for in commercial reads or political reads or video game reads? So there's a lot to learn when you're first getting into it. There's a lot of great information online. There's a lot of great free resources as well, which is nice. And there's a lot of great classes to take. So that would be a step one. I'm always tell people like, you don't need to buy equipment until you've already done some coaching and you really feel like this is what you want to do. Like, don't put yourself in debt and then be like, I hate this, or this is too hard. It happens all the time. People just, give up and say, I can't do it. So I would always start with, coaching. And I'm not just like, not necessarily me, but just someone in general that can help guide you, into the industry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's great advice. I think a lot of people just think, oh, it's like I just turn on the mic and I read some stuff and I
Yeah.
go for it. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
no, that's how you do it if you want to do it. But if you want to do it professionally and understand how to
Yeah.
do it right, that's not probably the way to do it.
It's like, technically, yes, that's how you do it. Put on your mic and read something. But it's like, well, but do you want to do it at a high level? Would you like to book? Do you want to make money? Like, there's all these other things. And there's so much that I didn't know. I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good baseline coming from a background of theater, radio, podcasting, and still there was so much that I don't know. And even now, like sometimes I'm like, this is so hard to navigate. Like, and there's no like, it's not like, oh, you go to school for this. I mean, you can, but it's like there's a lot of this unsaid stuff that no one tells you about that you just kind of figure out as you go along. So having a good coach, a good mentor, or just a good sense of community in the industry can definitely be helpful. And there certainly are a lot of great resources for people.
Well, definitely, that sounds amazing. So, what's your favorite part about working in, the video game business, especially that aspect of it?
I mean, working in video games, I think it's just, it's just being a part of games that are going to live on for years and, they have a fan base that streamers are, commenting on like, oh, like I did Minecraft Dungeons and Dragons, which was super fun. And a bunch of streamers had, done a playthrough of it. And I was like watching the videos to get to the part where they got to my character and, we're kind of commenting, and that was really fun. So yeah, I mean, and I just have a goal of continuing to elevate myself in video games. So I'm always like, if I'm a champion in like League of Legends, I'm literally going to like scream, cry, throw up, like, or like an agent, an operator in Call of Duty, like I will never recover. So I'm always like pushing towards those goals. And I feel like it's very exciting. And I'm like right there on some of these, dream games of mine. I've already been auditioning for some of them, for some of those game devs, and that's going to be a really great moment.
Well, amazing. So, kind of to bring this towards the end, what's kind of the future for your plans, both the gaming space and just voiceover in general?
I mean, yeah. So for sure, definitely like, voicing with some of those, really competitive games that I love to play, is like at the top of my list. Just continuing to push myself forward in voiceover, working more in animation and promo or trailers, and then helping others get into the industry too. Like I really love, again, working, like we were talking earlier, the youth, like the future generation of voiceover. Fighting the good fight against AI, where I don't want it to take over completely. And I think that there's a lot to be said for the human experience in voiceover. So I do try to use my voice and my influence to speak to that, AI cannot completely replace us, and it never will know like why it's saying something. It just can say something. And so that's really important to me as well. But yeah, I mean, I have no signs of no plans to slow down. Love what I do and love talking about it.
Amazing. Well, it definitely sounds like you're onto some great stuff. So I like to try to end each episode with my 3 questions. So,
Okay.
what's your favorite game to watch?
My favorite game to watch. Oh my gosh. I mean, probably League of Legends. I'm a big G2 fan. If anybody likes, EU, a big G2 fan. And so I love watching them, and it's really impressive to watch people play, at a really high level for League.
And what's your favorite game to play?
Probably League. I mean, League, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering. I do love card games quite a bit.
Magic,
Those are definitely.
Marvel Snap? Any Marvel
Yeah,
Snap?
Snap for sure. Yeah, Snap is amazing. I mean,
Okay.
one mobile game of the year, absolutely deservedly so. I mean, Snap has been phenomenal, and I've been enjoying Modern Warfare 3 lately, even though some people have been complaining about the new
People are
COD.
always complaining about.
Listen, I'll never say no to a Call of Duty. I'll buy it every time. Every time a new game comes out, I'll buy it.
I'm definitely a big Marvel Snap fan myself,
Yeah,
so
Snap's
that's definitely
awesome.
my game of choice. And
Yeah.
last one, so who's your favorite video game character?
Oh my gosh, I really don't know. One of my favorite. I really loved playing Borderlands 3 during the pandemic. That was super fun. Loved like Lilith and Tannis, and in that game I really enjoyed that. Boy, it's so hard. I mean, in League, it's Heimerdinger, and I love League. I loved watching Arcane, so Heimerdinger, and I'm a dirty Teemo player in League as well. But I have a lot of favorite characters.
Amazing. Well, this was so great. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell them
Yeah.
where they can connect with you and learn about what you're working on.
Yeah, sure. So my website is ginascarpa.com, and my studio website is Positive Voices CT for Connecticut, CT.com. And we do voiceover casting, we do audio production, writing, editing, and we also do educational programs for people. And I also try to do some free ones throughout the year just to give people, I mean, not everyone can spend money on, on something that they're really passionate or interested in. So I try to do some free resources for them as well.
Amazing. Well, everyone make sure to check out her stuff. She's does great work, and I know
Thank you.
that her coaching sessions are pretty awesome. I attended one and gave some insight. So if any of the other ones are like mine, I can only imagine the value.
It was great.
There.
It was great, and they loved you.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, thanks everybody again for tuning in and listening. And make sure to follow me on Twitter, JustinJESQ, and check Apple Podcasts for all our past episodes. And now YouTube at JustinJESQ, where we now have all of our videos.
Yay! Thanks for having me.